Hi, I'm Heidi. I want to just spend a few minutes with you today going through a couple of things that I've noticed some people asking me lately. I have been fortunate enough to complete my career in public education. I just retired and I just turned 49. And the question that I would get from most people, which is a logical question, is what are you going to do now? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And my honest answer has always been, I'm not sure, I'm not sure. And as I was thinking about their questions, I started to pay attention to how many people really aren't really sure about the direction that they're going. They get up and they do their job and they do their responsibilities with their family, but sometimes they just don't seem like they're on course. And so I started to think about that and read about different things in the Word of God about being able to follow your compass. Now, compasses today are sort of out of date because we are like on the cool GPS. You punch it in, you go to where you want to go. But on a GPS, you usually have to be pretty specific. You put in an actual address or something like that. And let's be honest, some of us don't know exactly where we want to go. But I have found that most of us at least have an idea of the direction we want to go. And so what I want to just encourage people today is to be willing to put down a foundation. You do not have to build the entire house. People, I don't know what to do. Even someone who's already done a career, or even someone who's in the middle of a career, or someone who doesn't have a career, doesn't want one, but still wants to feel like they have some type of a purpose here for them to be able to fulfill. So here's a few questions that you need to ask yourself. One, you need to take inventory of your skills and talents. And when you do that, you need to ask yourself this question. What is it that I like to do that lights my eyes up? That makes me go, man, I love doing that. And it doesn't matter if it's something that you consider non-financial. If you love to cook, then cook. If you love to be around little children, then be around little children, volunteer in the nursery. If you like to draw, draw. If you like to sing, sing. So many of us put so many limitations on our gifts and talents that we don't pursue what actually feeds our soul because we put too many limitations on it. So go through and do an inventory. And if you find things that you would like to know more about, you're going to need to pursue those things. Today with online and internet, we can go on and we can learn just about anything. So no longer can we use the excuse, well, I would like to do this, but I just don't have enough information. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about starting a whole new career, although that could be. If you want more information, I just signed up for a history course, starting really from 1700 BC all the way up to current times, because I want to be more literate about history. Is that going to have anything to do with my daily life? Maybe, maybe not. But it's something that feeds my soul. So inventory your skills and talents. Second, check your motivation. If the motivation is strictly money, you're probably going to come up wanting. We're talking about feeding the very thing that God put in us for us to do. And sometimes that is just so basic. We want to over religicize it. And religicize is a word I think I just made up. But we don't have to look at everything as, well, how is this going to help mankind? He has put those things in our heart to be able to give us the delight. Delight in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. So don't try to always spiritualize everything. It can be something small. So put it in perspective. Understand, too, that when you go to some of your friends, they might not understand why you're going to do such and such. Well, why would you do that? Doubt and questioning is almost the default setting on most human beings. So you have to expect that. If you always think that everybody's going to cheer you on, you're going to be disappointed and you might find out that it sort of knocks you off your path. Then understand, because not everybody's going to embrace it, that that's okay. You have to know between you and God what delights your heart. Secondly, do not be afraid of failure. Failure is part of the process. Now, that doesn't mean that when you fail, well, I knew I was going to fail. You have to learn. It's a learning experience. So many of us stay in a zone of comfort because we don't want to fail, because we don't want to look bad, we don't want to look embarrassed, we don't want to do things that other people say, why would you do that? So understand that failure is part of the process, and you have to get to a point in your walk with God where you trust Him enough to fail publicly. And that takes a lot of work. That's why you need to be in constant relationship with him, because when failure hits, you just get to give it over to him, which is beautiful. The same thing is true with success. When success hits, you get to give that over to him too. That way we avoid the pitfalls of pride, and with failure we avoid the pitfalls of insecurity. Okay. Question that you might want to ask yourself is, what race would you be willing to run if there was no finish line? What would be something you'd be willing to do just for the sake of doing it? What race would you be willing to run if there were no accolades? If no one was standing there always cheering you on? Ask yourself those questions, and even if they're just little things, like you always wanted to learn to speak a second language, you wanted to start a small little business, you want to start a big business, you want to be able to learn a specific skill, you want to learn how to dance. I mean, it doesn't matter. You want to play a musical instrument. You are never too old and you are never too unqualified. If you buy into that, you then will lead a life inside this little box, and you will not experience the joy that God has for you. Here are a few questions I'd like you to consider as you get ready to go through your day. There's 5 of them here. Write them down. You can change these as well. Change is fine. But really what I want people to consider is, where does your passion lie, and what would you do if we took away all the things that the world puts in to kind of keep you in your box? The first open-ended sentence is just, I wish. Fill that in. 2, if I had more time. This is probably one of the biggest ones, especially with women, with being wives and moms and working. I don't have the time. Well, you would then need to inventory your time, and you would need to maybe rearrange some things in your life to be able to move into a direction that you want to go. Remember, you don't have to put in the exact address, but you at least need to start moving that compass in the right direction. So you might have to prioritize your time. Number 3, if I had more money. Oftentimes you think, well, I can't start this small business because I don't have money. However, with the advancing technology, oftentimes we can start into something with very little money to start up. Number 4, if I had more skill. A lot of people say, well, I would like to do this, but I just don't think I have enough skill. Inventory that. Talk to some friends. Get some professional advice. If you are lacking in a certain area, then those would be the areas that you would target and go at and get strengthened, so that you have the skill to do what you passionately want to do. And the last one, if I knew no one was watching. Oftentimes people would say, well, I'd love to take that, I'll use an example of one of my friends, love to take that dance class, but I don't want to because I have 2 left feet. But they really want to learn how to dance. Now, is that going to change their life? Probably not. But what it does do is it opens up that freedom zone in her, so that when she is facing with something else that she feels uncomfortable with, she can reflect back, you know what, what's the worst that can happen? And that goes a long way, especially in today's world, with trying to do things that feed you, do things that feed your spirit, feed your soul, feed your personality. When we experience these things, especially when we experience them through the parameters that Christ has set up, we do experience that type of joy. We do experience the type of peace that we all long for. Ask yourself these questions on a continual basis. And then, here's the kicker, go out and do some of them. You'll be surprised, and you will also be happy, satisfied that you engaged in the process.